の江戸城のみか。日本国
As the movie opens, the heads of the mutineers, along with their leader, Amakusa Shiro, are put on pikes on the battlefield. The Tokugawa soldiers then watch a theatrical performance in front of the Shimabara castle to celebrate their victory. None of them, however, realize that a demonic power is working in the area. Just as the lead performer comes on stage, the castle is hit by a powerful lightning bolt, killing every Tokugawa soldier in the blink of an eye. It is then revealed that this was caused by the spirit of Amakusa, who has now reincarnated in the body of the lead performer. Angry at his god for forsaking the rebels in the war, the Christian leader calls upon Satan to help him avenge this loss, promising his soul in return. Soon enough, Satan grants him the power to resurrect dead people and turn them into evil spirits. Following this, Amakusa goes to a place named Kumamoto. He visits the grave of Tadaoki Hosokawa, a samurai killed during the current regime's ascent to power. Amakusa then performs some magic and summons the spirit of Tadaoki's wife, Grace. It is revealed that Grace was a tremendous beauty and a loving wife, but her husband slept around with other women, even bringing them home. She still stayed loyal and devoutly practiced her Christian faith. However, her continued dutifulness made her husband insecure, and he regularly lashed out at her. We also learn that when the Tokugawa army started marching toward their province, Tadaoki was called to fight against them. The invading forces eventually won, and Tadaoki was killed on the battlefield. When Grace heard the news, she was so dejected that she asked a soldier to end her life. Even in the afterlife, though, she couldn't make peace with the fact that her husband had left her to die. Her spirit lingered, yearning to meet Tadaoki once more. Back in the present, Amakusa promises to fulfill her wish. In return, she must help him destroy the Tokugawa regime. Grace readily agrees and is then reincarnated as the evil version of herself. The scene then shifts to a cave where legendary swordsman Musashi is contemplating his life. He founded the School of Two Swords, fought in over 60 battles, and has never been defeated. Despite all his achievements, he is still jealous of Lord Tajima and his elder son, Jubei. Tajima is the chief sword instructor of the Tokugawa regime and famous nationwide for his skills. Old Musashi is now close to death and yet cannot let this jealousy go. Soon, Amakusa and Grace appear in his cave with a tempting proposal. If he agrees to reincarnate, they will help him have a one-on-one duel with Lord Tajima. Musashi is startled by their appearance and tries to attack Amakusa, but he is so sick that the sudden movement causes him extreme exhaustion. The old man collapses on the ground, taking his last breaths on earth. Taking advantage of his vulnerability, Amakusa once again repeats his proposal, and Musashi finally agrees. Grace then kisses his lips, and the old man is reincarnated in a hideous but powerful form. Meanwhile, in Nara, a monk and a great spearman named Inshun crosses paths with two young girls. He surprisingly daydreams about unsheathing his weapon and brutally ending their lives. It is evident that Inshun is secretly a sadist who enjoys abusing beautiful women. He holds back his violent urges this time, allowing the duo to walk away. A few seconds later, Inshun sees a slender, womanly figure wearing a demonic mask nearby. This mysterious figure knows his dark fantasy and taunts him openly for it. Furious, the monk throws his spear at her, but the figure vanishes into thin air. Upon witnessing this, he thinks his dark desires are playing tricks in his mind. Despite training in Buddhism for decades, he has been unable to get rid of his filthy thoughts. He thus commits the unthinkable by grabbing the spear and planting it in his abdomen. As Inshun drops to the ground, writhing in pain, Amakusa and Musashi show up. The womanly figure also reappears and reveals herself to be none other than Grace. Her beauty, combined with Amakusa's manipulative words, convince Inshun to accept reincarnation as a devil. Somewhere else in the country, a young man named Kiramaru returns to his village. He belongs to the Iga ninja tribe that lives away from the rest of the kingdom. The young man is also good friends with Jubei, who is scheduled to visit the village in a few hours. However, moments later, the tribe is ambushed by the government-backed Koga ninja clan. The whole village is burnt down, and everyone is mercilessly killed. Kiramaru turns out to be a good fighter, and he manages to escape into the nearby forest. He is quickly pursued by an equally skilled ninja woman from the Koga clan. Just as she's about to end his life, the reincarnated devils appear in the forest. Inshun, who is now immensely strong and openly sadistic, knocks down the woman ninja. He then creepily enjoys abusing her while the other devils watch with expressionless faces. Meanwhile, a severely injured Kirimaru lies nearby, drawing his last breaths. Amakusa then approaches him and makes a tempting offer. In return for his help, he will be given a chance to avenge his family. Kirimaru has nothing to lose, so he agrees and is immediately reincarnated as a devil. After a while, Jubei arrives at the village, only to find it in complete ruins. He calls out for his friend and begins investigating in the surrounding forest. He soon comes face to face with a bewildering sight. Kirimaru, along with 3 other people, are riding towards him on horseback. Jubei quickly leaps onto a tree branch and narrowly avoids being impaled by Inshun's spear. He then watches on as the mounted company demonically laughs at him. Before they leave, the ghostly Musashi promises to challenge him later at a more suitable arena. With his team now complete, Amakusa begins his plan to infiltrate the enemy castle. His first step is to bring Ietsuna, the chief of the Tokugawa shogunate, under his control. It is revealed that Ietsuna is the 4th shogun of the ruling dynasty, but is just a young man. Later, while visiting a shrine in the city of Nikko, Ietsuna comes across a beautiful woman. She calls herself Otsana, but she is actually the devil Grace in disguise. The young shogun is unaware of this and is immediately smitten by her beauty. Later that night, he asks his right-hand man, Izu, to find the girl and bring her to the palace. However, the high-ranking official gets some really bizarre news about Otsana. Her parents report that the girl had gone mad and left home a year ago, thinking it highly unlikely that the shogun saw their daughter in the shrine. Izu later analyzes this information in his chamber and concludes that the girl must be a spy. He then asks one of his men to kill her immediately. Unbeknownst to them, Amakusa and Kirimaru have sneaked into his chamber. The devilish duo then brutally kills both Izu and his man, leaving their lifeless bodies hanging by the roof. On the other hand, Otsana sneaks into Ietsuna's palace in Nikko. She uses her dark magic to evade the guards and makes it to his bedchamber. There, she strategically strips in front of him, which is enough to seduce the young shogun. The duo then heads to his bed and makes intense love. A few days pass, and the news of Izu's death reaches the capital, Edo. The high-ranking officials are worried about the mysterious manner of the death. They are also concerned by their shogun's abrupt decision to prolong his stay in Nikko due to a girl. In the meantime, Otsana continues to distract Ietsuna from his duties using her beauty. But not everyone is ignorant of her dark magic. Jubei's father, Tajima, has already sensed that there is something sinister about the stranger. Thus, the old man commissioned a special katana from an infamous ironsmith, Muramasa, earlier that week. One night, while Tajima is checking the sword's sharpness, he receives a letter from his son. It details the young man's rendezvous with the 5 ghosts near the Iga ninja village. This is enough to confirm Tajima's suspicions about the involvement of evil spirits in the recent incidents. So he plans to kill Otsana by pretending he lost his sanity. He will then commit seppuku, as he is already on the brink of death due to terminal cancer. Later, as Tajima heads toward the Nikko palace, he is interrupted by Inshun. The devil is boastful about his newfound powers and challenges him to a duel. But Tajima proves to be too much for Inshun despite his old age. He slices up the devil's head with one quick slash of his new sword. Amakusa and Musashi, who have been watching this duel, are thoroughly impressed by the old man's skills. However, Tajima is now too tired, and his internal organs have collapsed, leaving him vulnerable. Amakusa uses this opportunity to probe into the old man's heart and see his deepest desire. It is then revealed that Tajima considers Jubei the best swordsman in Japan. He always wanted to have a duel with his own son just to see who would come out on top. Thus, Amakusa offers him reincarnation and a chance to fight his son in exchange for his help. Consumed by the desire to test himself against Jubei, the old man accepts the offer. Following this, Tajima goes back to his home and sits in his chambers as if nothing has happened. Jubei also arrives back from his travels later that night. He is eager to meet his father and discuss everything he has seen. But as he approaches the old man, Jubei senses that something is off. Tajima slowly turns his head around. His eyes now have a demonic glow. He then attacks his son at a blistering speed, but Jubei somehow manages to parry the attacks and runs away. Elsewhere, in a remote shrine, Amakusa carries out satanic rituals to cast a curse on Tokugawa's crops. The scene then shifts to Edo, where farmers have gathered in front of the governor's house. They plead with the guards to forgive this year's taxes, as all of their crops have turned out to be black. However, the guards refuse, which leads the already frustrated mob to protest against the shogunate's taxes. In the ensuing chaos, a guard mercilessly whacks a farmer with his baton. The poor man falls dead on the spot, and this is enough to scare the crowd away for the moment. A few days later, Kirimaru is roaming around the area when he suddenly sees a beautiful girl in front of a grave. The young man is immediately attracted by her beauty and approaches the spot. It is then revealed that she is Omitsu, the daughter of the farmer who died in the earlier protest. Despite being a devil, Kirimaru begins to feel affection for the orphaned girl. On the other hand, Jubei seeks out Muramasa, the infamous ironsmith boycotted by his community. They believed his swords lacked grace and contained wicked magic. Therefore, Jubei goes to his hut and convinces him to forge a sword capable of killing demonic spirits. In the meantime, Amakusa reads Kirimaru's mind and realizes that the orphan girl is slowly changing him back to a human. Thus, he manipulates him to give into lust rather than love for the girl. Following this, Kirimaru goes to meet Omitsu and attempts to force himself on her. He tears her clothes but cannot completely give in to lust. He then lets her go and begins to cry, regretting all the things he has done. Suddenly, Jubei arrives at the spot and confronts his old friend. The young ninja sees this as an opportunity to repent for his actions and begs to be put out of his misery. However, Jubei urges him to regain control of his conscience by fighting the darkness within. Meanwhile, the Tokugawa shogunate holds a lavish hunting party in Nikko. A group of angered farmers interrupts the hunt to protest the high taxes that were collected to fund this event. However, Otsana and Tajima, who are in the hunting company, manipulate Yatsuna. The latter then orders his men to round up all the protesters and kill them on the spot. By the end of the day, the governor of Nikko crucifies the executed farmers on a hill. The rest of the villagers are forced to watch the brutal display of power. Amakusa uses this opportunity to cast a dark spell on the gathered crowd. He incites a bloody riot among the peasants, who ultimately kill the governor. He then rallies them as his army to ride to Edo and overthrow the shogun. As all of this is happening, Muramasa finishes forging Jubei's wicked sword. In the next scene, Kirimaru attempts to escape with Omitsu, but Amakusa catches him and brutally finishes him off. At this point, the entire region between Nikko and Edo is burning as Amakusa's forces head toward the capital. A heartbroken Omitsu then takes her lover's body to a nearby fire in order to cremate it. Coincidentally, Jubei is also there, and he vows to avenge the death of his close friend. Just after a few moments, he gets his opportunity as Musashi appears on the spot. The old swordmaster challenges Jubei to a duel at a nearby beach, which the latter accepts. The next day, Jubei takes his wicked sword and confronts Musashi by the sea. The veteran swordsman, laced with satanic magic, is incredibly powerful, but Jubei has been training under his father since the age of 3. He completely overpowers Musashi, killing the old man once and for all. Jubei then heads to the capital to eliminate the remaining members of this devilish group. Back at Edo, things begin to quickly go downhill for the Tokugawa shogunate. The farmers' uprising continues to advance on the capital. Shogun Ieyatsuna finally comes to his senses after seeing that his kingdom is in disarray. But it is too late as Grace, still disguised as Otsana, holds him hostage. She, alongside Tajima, sets the palace ablaze, killing almost every member of the shogunate. By this moment, Grace has completely lost her mind and begins to see Ieyatsuna as her ex-husband. She yells at him for leaving her to die and drags him into the flames. Thus, the story of the Tokugawa dynasty ends in a brutal manner. Moments later, Jubei arrives at the burning palace to fight the forces of evil. Now covered with Buddhist prayer symbols, he confronts Tajima. The father-son duo then engage in a fierce battle inside the burning halls of Edo Castle. Initially, the old man uses his satanic powers to break Jubei's wicked sword. But as he lunges forward, Jubei counters his father's momentum and drops him to the floor. He then snatches Tajima's Muramasa sword and slices his throat. With his father now dead, Jubei confronts Amakusa. The Christian leader is impressed by his swordsmanship and offers him to join the dark side, but the young man refuses, preferring to fight the devil instead. A struggle then ensues where Amakusa puts up a valiant fight, but he is no match for Jubei's agility and is eventually decapitated.
この江戸城のみか日本国
However, as the credits begin to roll in, Amakusa grabs his severed head and laughs. He vows to continue resurrecting as long as humanity exists, before disappearing into the flames. So, what did you think of the movie? Leave it in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you in the next video.